Good morning, everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank the organizers and ILBS for giving me the opportunity to present our work here today. This work was done in a DST-funded project under the leadership of Professor Sareen, and it is titled IL-18, IL-1RA, and TREM1 circulating factors, and CD14 positive, HLA-DR low, TIM3 positive suppressive monocytes predict the development of early sepsis in ACLF patients. As we know, ACLF is a distinct clinical syndrome which is caused by an acute insult occurring on top of a pre-existing diagnosed or undiagnosed chronic liver disease, and ACLF patients have a high 4-week mortality. In this figure, it is clearly depicted that after the acute insult infliction in ACLF patients, the hepatic reserve percentage drastically declines, and there is a golden window period of about 7 days, that is 1 week, in which is critical for the patient's recovery. It has now been well established that chronic liver disease patients, especially ACLF patients, are at a 4-fold higher risk of developing sepsis due to gut biases, increased permeability, which leads to the pathological bacterial translocation, which leads to sepsis and ultimately shock. The current methods used for sepsis identification are CBC, that is complete blood count, bacterial culture positivity, however, it is time-taking, C-reactive protein, and procalcitonin. The key question which was addressed by our study was can we predict early markers of SIRS and sepsis by analyzing dynamic changes in the soluble and cellular factors? The aims which we tried to achieve in our study were to identify soluble factors as early markers of SIRS to sepsis progression and to study the dynamic changes in monocyte functionality in ACLF patients. So in our study, we included 18 to 65-year-old ACLF patients with their informed consent, and those positive for infectious diseases like viral diseases and malignancies were excluded. We screened a total of 150 ACLF patients, out of which 42 were excluded and 98 were finally followed up. Out of these 98 patients, 29 were excluded as we could not complete all the proposed time points for them, and 59 patients were finally there, for which we had samples at baseline, 6 hours, 24 hours, day 3, and day 7. These 59 patients were divided into 3 different groups, which were no SIRS, that is no systemic inflammatory response syndrome, SIRS, and sepsis. These are the baseline characteristics of the patients, but I'm going to skip this slide due to time constraint. From the whole blood collected, we isolated plasma, which was used to measure CRP and PCT, and cytokine bead array was done to identify the potential novel biomarkers. Our CBA kit was custom designed to include cytokines, chemokines, hormones, growth factors, etc. And a total of 41 different analytes were checked. From the whole blood, we also isolated peripheral blood mononuclear cells, that is PBMCs, which were used to separate adherent monocytes, which were further used for monocyte functionality assays and gene expression studies. We also did monocyte phenotyping using different markers like CD14, 16, HLA-DR, TLR4, and oxidative burst assays was also done. Coming on to the results, CRP and PCT, which are the proposed biomarkers, were not found to be significantly different in sepsis patients as compared to the other groups, according to our study. Nor at baseline were they different in all these groups, and neither were they different at the different time points, like 24 or day 3. 24 hours or day 3. However, when we performed CBA, we observed that out of the 41 different cytokines, HGF, that is hepatocyte growth factor, macrophage migration inhibitory factor, and matrix metalloproteinase 7 were significantly upregulated in all the ACLF groups, but especially in the no SIRS group as compared to the others. This significant upregulation was continued and maintained over the different time points till day 7. So we concluded that HGF, MIF, and MMP7 are significantly increased in ACLF no-SIRS patients. Similarly, sorry, I forgot to mention the x-axis here denotes the concentration of the cytokine in picograms per ml, and all these graphs are mean plus minus standard deviation. So similarly, In the ACLF SIRS category, we observed that IL-6, MCP-1, VEGF-A, and MIP-1 beta were 4 different cytokines which were upregulated in the SIRS category as compared to the other groups. And this upregulation was maintained at the different time points up till day 7. So our conclusion was IL-6, MCP-1, VEGF-A, and MIP-1 beta are significantly increased in ACLF SIRS category of patients. Then moving on to the ACLF sepsis patients, we found that TREM1, IL-18, MIP3 alpha, and IL-1RA were significantly upregulated in septic patients. This upregulation was again maintained during the kinetic studies up till day 7. So we concluded that TREM1, IL-18, MIP3 alpha, and IL-1RA are significantly increased in septic patients. Then we tried to see the progression of disease within the different groups. So none of the no-SIRS patients developed sepsis. However, 5 out of the 19 SIRS patients developed sepsis. And then we plotted the cytokine levels for these 5 patients and found that IL-1, RA, TREM1, and IL-18 were significantly upregulated as the patients moved from SIRS to sepsis within 48 to 72 hours. Then we checked the cellular components and found that MLR and NLR were significantly upregulated in the ACLF groups as compared to the healthy control, but there was not much difference within groups. Differential lymphocyte count and differential neutrophil count was significantly higher in sepsis patients as compared to the no-SIRS group. There was no significant change in the differential monocyte count. Then we looked at HLA-DR on the monocyte surface and found that this graph shows the HLA-DR MFI on CD14 positive and CD16 positive monocytes. And we found that septic patients had a significantly lower expression of HLA-DR on their surface, which correlates with low antigen presentation. Then we checked the functionality of the monocytes by oxidative burst activity, which is the production of ROS and release by the monocytes. And we found that at spontaneous also, spontaneous is no stimulation, the septic patient monocytes showed a very low percentage of oxidative burst activity. Then this was maintained even after FMLP, E. coli, and PMA stimulation. FMLP is a peptide, which is a low stimulus, E. coli is high stimulus, and PMA is the control here. Then we performed co-culture assays in which monocytes and T cells were co-cultured, and the results, monocytes and CD4 positive sorted T cells were cultured, and the results, and they were stimulated with LPS for 2 hours, and our results show that the monocytes from the septic patients had PDL1 high and TIM3 high, and they induced the PD1 low and TIM3 low CD4 positive T cells to become CD4 positive, PD1 high, and TIM3 high. Then this is our conclusion diagram in which we predict, in which we can see that no SIRS patients in the plasma, they had high levels of HGF, MIF, and MMP7, and on the surface they were HLA-DR high. SIRS patients, in the SIRS patient plasma, we found IL-6, VEGF-A, and MCP-1 to be highly regulated, and on the surface PDL1 and TIM3 were present. Their expression was positive. And in sepsis also, we found an even higher expression of PDL1 and TIM3, and IL-18, IL-1RA, and TREM1 to be upregulated in the plasma. Then as the patients from SIRS moved on to sepsis, within 2 to 3 days, we found, we predicted that these markers can be used to predict the development and progression. Future perspectives are that we can study monocyte metabolism and its role in immune dysfunction, and TREM1 can be used as a marker for sepsis. Thank you.